everyone, my name is Alyssa and I'm obsessed with Disney. I am also a Disney College Program alumni with a role of costuming. And that is exactly what we are finally going to be talking about today.
Hey, Youse Guys, I'm making some magic over here.
So a lot of you are probably wondering why it has taken me so long to make a video like this, seeing that I first started working for Disney as a costuming hostess well over 3 years ago. And the reason is basically I just didn't know how to handle it in still like respecting a lot of the company's wishes. But seeing that I'm probably not going to ever work for parks ever again, not because I can't, but because I put too much pressure on myself when it comes to working for Disney World, I feel like much more comfortable talking about it. Because costuming is a role that not a lot of people know about, which is one of the reasons why a lot of you guys over the years have asked me to make a video like this. So here we go. I started off thinking that this would probably be more like a Q&A thing, so I went on the Facebook group for the current season that's happening, so spring 2018. And basically all of the questions you guys asked was like the same thing. So just asking what training is like, an overview of what exactly the job is, and how exactly it works. And we're going to cover all of that today. So first off, training. If you guys are watching this, I'm assuming that you are a prospective DCP participant, or you are a DCP participant and you got costuming already, you want to know more about the role, or hey, you just watched my channel or you just came across this and you want to know more about what it's like to work for Walt Disney World, and you all found the right place. So if you do know anything about DCP, you know that the first day everyone gets of training is traditions. I'm not going to talk about that because there's plenty of videos out there all about traditions. And I even have 2 vlogs. I think I did both years. I vlogged my tradition experience. So I will link my 2017 one here, because when I was looking back to do some quick refresher kinds of things about this video, I looked at one of my vlogs from 2015 and girl, it was cringe. So if any of you guys are still watching my channel who subscribed, 3 some odd longer than that years ago, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I could not watch myself. I was like, is this girl serious? Unfortunately, I was. Anyway, so after traditions, you start your operational training. So as a Disney College Program participant, you are an operational cast member. So everyone takes this class called Welcome to Operations. That I'm sure there's a bajillion million videos out there about Welcome to Operations. So I'm not really going to talk about it much. Electronic pins, guys. That's all you need to know. And then next is welcome to whatever role you are segmented off. If you costuming, that's what we're talking about today, your class is called Welcome to Entertainment. Now, you'll find out all this information when you check in at your housing site. They will give you a time for casting, and when you're at casting, they will give you this piece of paper with your traditions times, or no, I think your traditions time is now on your check-in paper. They will give you a time for your welcome to operations, your welcome to your segment of operations, and then your next kind of classroom training days. Back to Welcome to Entertainment. Welcome to Entertainment, kind of similar to Welcome to Operations in terms of electronic badges. You are taking Welcome to Operations if you're a costuming hostess, character performer, a photo pass, photographer, or a character attendant. Also, technicians and stuff can be in that class, but that's not a role that you can get with Disney College Program. So Welcome to Entertainment, it's magical. I definitely think Welcome to Entertainment is much better than traditions. It's super fun. Sure, traditions will make you cry, but welcome to entertainment. Oh girl, I want to leave that a little bit of a surprise for some of you guys because it's really fun. And honestly, it's not that the information that I'm sure you're looking for when it comes to straight up information for costuming hosts and hostesses. So depending on your schedule, you will either have a welcome to operations in the morning and then in the afternoon welcome to entertainment, but I've seen some people have it on 2 separate days. So then your next training, next you will take 3 different classes. I've seen this scheduled so many different ways. These 3 classes aren't like welcome to operations and welcome to entertainment where you have to take operations first and then entertainment. These can be 3 different times or whatever. So it is called Styling Our World, Character Core, and Gus Core. So on my first program, I had Styling Our World first, and then the next day I had Gus and Character Core on the same days. Styling Our World is 1 day all by itself because it is a long class, but we'll get there. And then my second program, I had 3 different classes on 3 different days. So Styling Our World, like I said, is full day, and it's so fun. So basically what you do in Styling Our World is you go to every single location on Disney World property that has to do with costuming. You'll go to every single costuming location on property. You won't go to every single ops location because, you know, you've seen one, you've seen them all. But you'll go to, like, the Magic Kingdom character room, and you'll go to the Epcot character room, and the Epcot Royal Closet, and pause, we have to take a stop right here. If you are going to yell at me about character integrity in the comments, click off this video and leave. Because that is another reason why I put off doing this video, because I didn't know how to tackle character integrity. Because it's basically impossible to talk with character integrity when it comes to costuming, nitty-gritty training procedures. And that's what you guys want to hear, so sorry about it. So yeah, you'll go to Studios, Costuming, Magic Kingdom, Character Room, Epcot Royal Closet, DAC. You'll actually go to DAC Ops too, because we'll get there. DAC Character Room, etc., etc. So all of these 3 classes take place at the DAC costuming facility. So where they have the DAC operational costuming, which for those of you who don't know, when I say operational costuming, I mean costumes for cast members who are not in entertainment characters, kind of. So the lovely person who sells you your corn dogs, that guy's costume. So if your role says operational costuming, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you'll be doing. Because, like I said earlier in the video, if you are a college program participant, you are an operational cast member. So on your itineraries, if it says operations, that's what it means. You won't find out until much, much later in the process what exactly you are doing. So yeah, where DAC Ops costuming is, there's like the training facility for costumers. So behind Ops, there's this hallway that you go down where they have some classrooms for training costumers and rehearsal facility for new casts coming in to do different shows on property, or where they hold auditions for a lot of different either lookalike characters or if they're casting new casts for the show. There's a whole bunch of things behind DAC operational costuming. Man, this is going to be a pain in the butt to edit because there's a lot to talk about. Oh, my camera's dying. Okay, wait. I'm going to stop. I'm going to charge my camera and then we'll get back to this. Okay, we're back. So yeah, you go to all of the character rooms on property. My first program, we went to creative costuming. We did not do it on the second program, but that's I'm assuming because they just recently moved to wherever they are now and it was just kind of a wreck. So I'm sure in the future they'll probably bring you guys to it. You'll also go to NSA, or it's another name for it, but I always called it NSA. And it is amazing. That is where almost all of the laundry gets done, and I know that sounds boring, but oh my god, it is crazy exciting. Let's just say that on the tour of the NSA, they will inform you that the animators who worked on Monsters, Inc. drew quite a bit of inspiration for the moving door system that they have on the scare floor from NSA. Just saying. So the other two classes, Gus and Character Core, in my head, I feel like go hand in hand because I had them always so close, but they're very different. So Gus is basically a class where they teach you all about how to use the computer system that you will use in costuming. And it is called Gus, like legitimate like Gus, like Cinderella's little mouse friend Gus. You'll see that with costuming. The Cinderella mice, that's our theme. It stands for Garment Utilization System. And it's like a whole day where you just learn like how the portals work, because you'll see that when you take costumes in and out, there's literally microchips in every single costuming piece on the entire property, whether it's entertainment, operations, or otherwise. That's how we keep track of all of our clothes. So you learn all about the portals and how we keep track of those things, how we scan costumes out to shows or cast members. It's, it's not the most exciting thing, but it is essential to know this information as a costuming hostess. And then Character Core, that's kind of fun because it is a class designed for people who are really not that familiar with Disney characters. So basically it's just a class where you just learn all Disney characters, and at the end of the class you put together some character costumes. So that's really fun. And if you think that part is traumatizing at the end of class, oh, just you wait, because there's no heads at class. You will see plenty and plenty and plenty of heads in styling our world, so have fun. So that covers all of the classroom stuff. So on your last day of classroom training, whatever that may be, they will teach you how to log on to the hub and ICE. So ICE is scheduling just for anyone who works in entertainment, and that is kind of super important because ICE gives more detailed information than what everyone else who doesn't work in entertainment uses for their schedule, because there's lots and lots of different things that go into entertainment, because a lot of entertainment positions are global, which means you can be put in like any different place throughout property. Meanwhile, if say your attractions, all you know is Space Mountain, you can't go work on Space Mountain and know how to work Dumbo, but costuming is very much global, so it gives you details of like what exactly you're doing. So that is where you find out what your first skill is. So how costuming works is you're not just assigned one place and that's where you're going to work your entire college program. In costuming, we have these thing called skills, which the best way to describe it is just give you examples. So on my first college program, I had two skills. My first skill was operational costuming. So I did the costumes for regular hourly cast members, that guy serving you the corn dog at Casey's. And my second skill was the Magic Kingdom character room. So skills basically are like places you can work. So it's not just like, oh, I work in entertainment, like you're all entertainment, calm down. And each show and each parade, like everything is a separate skill. So that's why my second program, technically I was, coded to be Spring Advantage. So typically, if you're an Advantage, you'll get 3 skills, and if you're just a regular Spring, Fall, whatever, typically you'll get 2 skills. So my 3 skills for my Advantage program was Magic Kingdom Character Room, which is easy enough. Started off with that because I had that skill from my last program. Move It, Shake It, Dance, a Play Street Party. My size, so fun. That's my family. That's my home. I love them. And the week I self-termed when I did, because my next schedule about to drop was my training for Festival of Fantasy Parade. And I knew I wanted to leave, so I was like, I don't want to have them waste time training me for another skill when I know I'm going to leave. So typically that's how it works. So when you log into ICE, it'll show you your next days of training. So typically if you are getting ops as one of your skills, you'll have additional 4 days of on-the-job training. So, 3 days, I believe, actually. Yeah, 3 days. What I did personally is different than what a lot of other people do, but it's similar. It doesn't really matter. So I trained my first day ever working for Disney World on the job in, front lines kind of thing, was at the Epcot Entertainment, not the Epcot operation costuming area, even though my home park, my home base, was Magic Kingdom. So I did my first day at Epcot, then I went to Hollywood Studios, and then finally I went to Magic Kingdom on my 3rd day of training. So basically, it's just kind of like showing you the ropes, reinforcing a lot of that computer stuff, and then what happens with operational costuming. So how costuming works, and how also it works if you're a performer on a show or a technician, you have what's called tracks. So this is a track sheet for a normal day at studios costuming. So you'll see these on your first day, whether you are in ops or character rooms or a show or a parade. Everyone gets a track sheet, but this is kind of something that you do with operational costuming. So it's broken down by hour, when you get your breaks, when you have lunch, and of course military time because it's Disney. You'll see though, when it comes to costuming, this is pretty much the only things that you'll see in military time, because we're backstage, we just don't follow that rule. So it'll have things like issue counter on it. So that's basically helping, like, assisting cast members with pieces of clothing that don't have chips in them. So like socks, gloves, rain ponchos, like random things like that. Then there'll be returns, which you'll do this in character rooms and parades and shows and stuff too. Issue counter, something very unique to ops. That is where you sit, where performers or regular cast members return their costumes, and you sort them by however that particular location sorts, whether it be by like colors and whites, or like furs, dry cleaning, and garment bags, like things like that. So you're basically sorting dirty laundry and making sure it gets scanned to laundry correctly. There's this thing in ops called speed rail. It's very similar to something in character rooms when they're just putting laundry away, but for some reason in character rooms they don't call it speed rail. Basically, you just get these racks and racks of clothing where you just have to put it away on the floor. The issue floor is what we call it, which is where cast members can just come in and grab their costume, go to the portals, check out, and leave. You're just putting it away, so it's easy for cast members to get what they need. Then there's laundry. It's not particularly on this track sheet, but that's something you'll do everywhere, because some locations, we wash all of our accessories ourselves, because if we would send accessories out to NSA, girl, they get lost. Let me tell you, it's a big place in NSA. And that's really it when it comes to ops. So they'll always give you a nice little thing, and since it's like scheduled and it's like always kind of like moving around what you're doing, days usually go by pretty quickly. So my second skill, my first program then was Character Room. Alright, so this is a track sheet that I have from Magic Kingdom Character Room. It's all written on and stuff because it's a piece of paper. And you could do whatever you want with these because they print new ones every single day. Because a lot of times they'll either write your name on it or they'll print your name on it. That is your coordinator's job, to type up track sheets every day. So on this track sheet, looks like a typical day at Magic Kingdom. Oh, this is a morning track sheet. CPs, you'll hardly get morning shifts? Actually, I thought of something else we gotta talk about, but that'll be later. So typically, I don't know if this is, it's gotta be similar in other character rooms. Typically, a lot of what you do if you have like a morning shift in a character room is you will build a lot of characters, and then at night you'll do a lot of laundry. But it's not to say that in the morning you won't do laundry, because you will. And at night, you won't build characters because you will. But before we get to the track sheet, training for Magic Kingdom Character Room, it's going to be a little different than other character rooms because Magic Kingdom has the biggest character room on property. So I believe they changed it right after I went through my training. But my training the second time around with Character Room, a little different because I already knew how to do it. But I believe it's 7 days now, which is a lot. But there's a lot to learn because there's so many specifics about like what can get washed, what could get sent out, or like how to build all the characters because there's so many of them. And the room is pretty big to figure out where things are. And also, you have to learn where all of the break rooms are for all of the entertainment offerings in Magic Kingdom, because you'll have to do runs, which is basically like, say, a performer forgot their tights or something when they were collecting their costumes, and they need to be on set in like, 5 minutes, so, which happens, unfortunately. So that's not enough time for them to come back down to the character room and get their tights and go back. So we'll ask them what size they need, and we'll grab the tights and just go. So there's a whole bunch of different things that they can ask for. So you'll learn where those break rooms are, and yada yada. Also, what you will learn to do in the Magic Kingdom character room, if you get a lot of PM shifts, which, spoiler alert, if you're a CP, you will, you will learn how to dress Tinkerbell for when she flies in Happily Ever After. So that's not, a separate skill or whatever, because that's just something that goes from the character room, and it's not like, oh, all the performers need costumers to help them get dressed. Tink is separate because she also needs a tech to help her get dressed, because, there's harnesses and lights and stuff involved. And yeah, I'm saying Tink right now because guess what? I'm putting those rumors to bed. Tinkerbell performer, all of them, they are all females. Okay? None of this like, oh, Tinkerbell when she flies out of the castle, that's a boy. No, it's a girl. I've met freaking all of the performers. They are all so sweet and adorable, and they are all girls. They're like badass girls who are like really tough and can do a million push-ups and what do they call them? Chin-ups. They can do a ton of those because they need to be super strong, because if anything bad happens and suddenly she's stuck out there on the rope, she needs to be able to pull herself all the way to Tomorrowland. So they're girls. Anyway, track sheets. So laundry, something you'll do anywhere. In character rooms, there are things called dry rooms, which some things can't get put in a dryer, like white furs, for instance, but they still need to get dry. We can't hang them up all wet. It's this room that's like over like 120 degrees, something crazy like that, and it's so hot. And we just leave things in there. Dry room, yeah. Here it says build bell petticoats. Even princesses, you gotta do everything for them. Make their skirts big and poofy. Same thing, then there'll be a service counter, which, again, you don't really have to do much of that in character rooms. But Magic Kingdom, though, a lot of times you'll have to give lockers out to, like, non-entertainment cast members, because in the tunnels, in where the Magic Kingdom character room is, it's literally right next to the locker room. So a lot of times if people are having trouble with their lockers, they'll come to costuming. So that's really a lot what you do at the service counter, and also answer the phones for those runs. Putting away basics is another thing you do at the service counter. For those of you who don't know, all performers wear the same exact, like, sweats outfit underneath all their costumes, just in case if something does go awry, Disney can control what kind of things people see underneath costumes. Because, like, what would happen if, say, Pooh Bear has a costume malfunction and underneath Pooh Bear's wearing a shirt that says, like, the world or something on it? That won't look too good. And there's these things called line assignments, which, if you have morning shifts, not really, it happens a lot at night, but mostly in the morning, your coordinator will assign you, like, an aisle of characters, and you have to build a certain amount of the characters that are in that aisle. And then there's this thing called soil. So you know how earlier when I was talking about ops, I was talking about returns and that's like the dirty laundry and sorting things and blah blah blah. In the character room, it's the same exact thing, but we call it soil. It's a little different than returns because you also have to deal with shoes. So you have to, like, spray those. Dealing with character heads, which is something you don't really do in ops. And, like, accessories that, like, you have to use a wipe to clean. I mean, I guess you have belts in ops, but those are the things that are a little different. And then that's it for this sheet. That's really it for character room. Basically, it is the same exact thing as what happens in ops, except the costumes are different. You know, you're dealing with furs instead of ugly shirts, you know? And finally, you have shows and parades. So typically parade training, I don't know about shows, but I'm sure it's very similar to parades, is 2 days of training. So if it's your first, like, assignment, like, to a parade, how it works, well, okay, rewind. Or is it rewind? I don't know. This is a lot of information to convey, guys. You don't just, like, you know how I've been saying, like, each different show or area, whatever, is a different skill? There's, like, sub-skills in, like, parades and shows. Because when you get trained in a parade or a show, you don't get trained in all of the tracks. You know how I was talking about track sheets? You got them too in shows and parades. And since parades and shows are a live thing that happens, and it's something that has to look exactly the same every single time it happens, is a lot of work. So you get trained to a track. So your first day ever learning a show and a parade is 2 days of training. Because on day one, you learn, like, general, like, safety things about the show or parade, and, like, where the, like, costuming locations are for that, because, spoiler alert, it's not in the tunnels. In Magic Kingdom, it's a place called the PC, the Parade Center. And you learn all about that kind of safety, because you gotta wear vests, like safety vests, basically a lot. There's just a lot of safety and, like, saving the magic kinds of things that you need to learn about. And then your second day of training is learning your track with a trainer. So every time you learn a different track, it's only 1 day of training. So, say I guess, my side, for example. So I learned 3 different tracks on my side. So altogether, I had 4 days of training on my side. 1 day for my safety thing, and then each additional track is 1 day. So, anyway, finally, this is what a my side track sheet looks like. It is much longer and much more detailed than all of the other tracks, because like I said, everything has to happen perfectly on a parade or a show. So at the top here, it'll tell you what box you're assigned to, and if there's anything that you need specifically. So track 4 is the runner track, which means you get to have a radio and feel important that day. And let me just say this. If you do not drive, unfortunately, you will not be considered for parades, because you have to drive a golf cart, and really they want you to be able to be comfortable to drive a giant box truck. Which I'm not the best driver, but I figured that out from my first program. Even though I had a driver's license, I told them I wasn't really comfortable driving company vehicles, so I never got put on a parade of my first program. My second time around, I was like, listen, I want to try something different this time, and I have done everything I can by not driving. So I'm gonna tell them I could drive, and boom! Your girl got both Magic Kingdom parade. So, back to the track sheet. This is the one, like I said, for the runner. You get the radio, you feel like you're important, yada yada. It's important because this track drives a golf cart. So, first thing you do, if you're not familiar with Move It, Shake It, Dance It, Play It, Street Party, there are 5 floats, a bunch of characters, a bunch of party peeps, we call them, which is just human dancers, and then there's stilt walkers, and then there's this guy who's basically like the MC, and he's our DJ. Basically stuff you gotta know. So this first thing it tells me to do is clean the dry room of any stilt walker items and put them away. Put J-pads and toe straps in a bin, take them to shade control. Double check the presets of Donald, Goofy, King Louie. Put presets on a Z-rack, preset stilts 9 and 10, and spare. Assist with loading the truck. So that is basically like your first hour and a half, 2 hours. Cleaning the dry room of stilt walker stuff. Basically at the end of the night, one of the tracks goes down to the character room and collects all of the dirty laundry from the party peeps. So like the normal dancers' clothes. Sends them like the leggings and like the shorts and the shirts and whatever out to NSA, but like the sweatbands and little things like that, like I told you before that we normally wash in-house, we wash those. If we wash them, we put them in a mesh bag, leave them in the Magic Kingdom dry room, where, we share it with the character room, and then peace out. So, you gotta take all those pads and sweatbands out and bring them back to shade control. But you put away, like, the sweatbands in bins and stuff in the character room, because that's where the dancers for my side get their costumes, from the Magic Kingdom character room. So you bring all the pads and stuff for the stilt walkers back up to shade control. Shade control is the place where the parade steps off in Main Street. So there's like a backstage building there where we set up the floats and the performers get dressed and things like that. It's just, that's the name of it, shade control. Put those in a bin. And then you're double checking your presets, because you'll see later on in this, we have downtime, we set up the character costumes for the next day. So when you come in, you come back to the PC where we keep all of our other costumes. You just want to double check the person who had your track the day before, their work, so make sure everything's right and things. Put them on a rack so you can drive them out to the truck. Then you're also presetting the stilt walkers. We don't do those the night before, just because they're so easy and quick to do. We do those morning of the show. So we take all of our stilt walker stuff and all of our character presets and we load up the truck. And the truck will then drive to shade control. So the PC is where Festival of Fantasy steps off in Frontierland. So basically we drive from behind Frontierland all the way to Main Street, backstage, of course. So then we unload the truck at shade control, and then we check the feet and the heads, because we leave the shoe shelves and the heads at shade control. This is all specific things you big guys really don't need to know. But you always want to check everything. It's happened a couple times that like Mickey's eye kind of fell out of his head. That's from customers not checking those heads. We want to make sure Mickey keeps all of his eyes when he's out greeting guests. Well, you guys are asking, well, then what happens? Mickey covers his eye and he goes and he hides in the box. First show steps off. What the frick? Okay, I think this is a track sheet from when we were doing 2 Festival of Fantasy parades, because our tracks are messed up. But normally, I'm gonna do the rest of this from memory. So when you're the runner, this is what we're doing here. You check to make sure everyone's okay with, you know, the head and the feet they got, and the performers then like to check their presets. And if the performers don't like the particular whatever, the Velcro on it or something, blah, 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 they'll let the runner know. The runner will drive the golf cart back to the PC and get whatever extras that we have, drive them back. Hopefully the performer likes it, because if they don't, too bad, so sad, because we don't have a lot of backups for parade things. Then normally the first show will step off. Of course, we help performers get dressed. You're, like I said before, you're kind of like assigned to a box, so all the characters on that box you gotta take care of. And then, because there's 3 shows of Move It, Shake It, Dance, and Play It every single day, you're basically doing that kind of back and forth. When there's a big gap, usually between the first show and the second show is usually the biggest gap of the day. We are presetting the character costumes for the next day. We're going on lunch. And we're making sure our FOF team is all good to go, because at the PC is where we keep the costumes not only for my side but also for Festival of Fantasy. So we work pretty closely with the Festival of Fantasy costuming team. No matter what parade you're on, while the parade is en route, usually you will set up waters and towels for the performers, because most of the times it's Florida, it's really hot. They get super tired because they're performing their hearts out there, so we want to make sure they're comfortable when they come back in. Also, while parade is en route, depending on what track you are, you'll have like a specific like task for you to do while the performers are gone, but you still have to wait for them. So like a lot of times you'll like check emergency bins, which will have like spare costume pieces if needed, or check the rainy day costumes, because you know, if it's rainy or it's too windy, stilt walkers can't go out, and you gotta, you know, give them something else for them to dance around in, because they can't wear stilt size pants, can they? So it'll give you things like that. So you keep doing that, blah blah blah, until the last show of the day is last show of the day. They'll give you specific tasks on breaking down, depending on your track. This runner track, for instance, it looks like, oh, this is the laundry track. So that means you're going to be taking care of the party peeps down in the character room. And you are also taking, checking for alterations. Oh no, that's another track. I don't know. You guys don't need to know the specifics of this! I'm not going through it. There's... Parades are different. You'll just learn that. So then, besides all the different kinds of shifts you can get depending on what your skills are, there are also these things called flies. So if you are a costumer who has skills in character room and operations, depending on what park you're in, wow, okay, you can be an ops character room fly, which means you come in for your scheduled shift, and you will either be working in ops or the character room if somebody called out. So for Magic Kingdom, the fly would report to the character room, and say somebody called out in ops. Ops is only open from like 9 to 6 or whatever it is. Means you're most likely will have morning shifts if those are your two skills, because they want you to be able to cover for other people for those things. If you have skills with 2 parades, you'll most likely really have mid shifts, because that's really when a lot of the parades happen. Because I know my size shifts start at 9 a.m. And FOF shifts start at 8 a.m. So usually there's 2 flies for the parades, because like I said, parades very, very important. And then the castle show is different. And then a lot of times it'll just be a character room fly, just because the character room is so big and there's always something to do in the character room. You can never be bored in the character room because you can always find something to do. So then that's flies. So I feel like this video was very long. If you guys have any more questions specifically, please leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you. I feel like I covered it tons. But you know, you could always ask for more, I guess. Alright, my ears, of course, if you like them, is from Youse Guys merchandise. The link will be on the end card that you will see right about in 2 seconds. Have a seamless day, everyone. Bye!